this week's Desmond's Havers. We're in Whitehills, and not on a spot we've been to before, but west of Whitehills, looking down over the village and over the sea. 17th of August 2018. We headed off to our destination. Lindsay is just off a night shift, so we are away early. We stopped briefly at our intended spot, but then we moved on to the Rockfish for the best fish supper around. We returned to our spot to eat it and enjoy the evening. This evening's entertainment is provided by a fleet of harvesters in the fields behind the park up, and we had a lovely sunset to top things off. (18th of August 2018). We set out to have a relaxing day, and we largely achieved our aim. Lindsay goes back on normal shift on Monday, so this is a normal weekend for us. I operated on HF radio for the International Lighthouse weekend and managed to work some lighthouses before conditions deteriorated. Lindsay wombled a little and then went into the village for a walk around and a visit to the pottery. It was a windy day, but apart from that the weather was good. The wind dropped in the evening and we had another great sunset, and I had a dram. With the fields cut, the birds flocked in to pick up the dropped seeds. This evening's entertainment was the baler and tractors gathering in the hay. We had a relaxed day, just as we planned. 19th of August 2018. As usual, we were up in time for the RSGB news. I managed to check into the local 2-metre net and then worked some lighthouses. Then it was time to leave Whitehills and head for home. What a lovely spot we found near one of our favourite places. So, this week's Haber. Well, I have been asked by one or two to relate some tales from my days in the RAF. So I thought I'd tell you this week about, we'll start it off with one of the harder trips. Craig was 4 or 5 months old, and I was forced to go away for nearly 8 weeks. It was a terrible trip, working 24 on, 24 off. Hard work. We had to have the aircraft serviceable. We had 3 aircraft to service. It really was a busy trip. Okay, you want the truth? We were going to Florida for 8 weeks. Terrible, wasn't it? We had some flying time to do at an American facility, and we were going to be there for 8 weeks at the naval base at Homestead in Florida, just south of Miami. And we had to go out a few days early, so we were flying out on a VC-10, that dates it, and we had to fly early so we could get there to get everything prepped. All the gear was flown direct by Herc, unloaded at Homestead, and we were there to have everything prepped, ready to roll when the aircraft started arriving. The BC-10 had problems coming into Washington. We had to go in there before we could go to Miami, or rather to Homestead, to check in customs. So we did that, but we had problems. The jet had problems. For those in the know, a split valve actuator had gone, which meant that the aircraft couldn't put its flaps down properly, so it took a while, shall we say, circling to lose height and land. We flew on to Homestead, where we were dropped off, and our first job was to be set up, as I said. But when we got there a day late because of the VC-10, we found that our American hosts had seen the instruction pack, laid out the stores, the tool sets, etc., that we were going to have to do. So we had nothing to do for 2 or 3 days because the jets hadn't arrived. So we organised shift rosters and checked out the hotel, we checked out Homestead, and checked out the local beer as well. Well, what else can you do? So the aircraft were due to arrive, and because of the nature of where we were, we had 3 aircraft and timed slots, which meant the aircraft had to be ready for a certain time for takeoff. They went away, came back after their sorties, and landed back and had to be serviced. We were working 24 on, 24 off. So when you were on shift changed at midday, you finished work, went back to the hotel, back to your room, shower and down the pool. Went out that evening, survived the evening, got up the next morning, shower, shave, and off to work at lunchtime. When you were at work, well, you had all those jets to deal with. 24 hours you're on for, no time for a break. Well, actually the Nimrod the more you flew it, the more serviceable it stayed. And we had to have jets ready, so we had plenty of spares, etc. So the aircraft would land from their sorties, we would airf them and put them to bed, do any servicing that needed doing, any snagging that needed doing, to prep them for the next day. Then we were able to sleep overnight, get up at an early hour, but reasonable hour. We would then BF the jets, do any replenishments as part of that, and then send them flying. Before you knew it was midday and it was down the pool, and yeah. So that was our routine as ground crew. The air crew, on arrival, had to brief a couple of days, and then they flew their sorties and went home, and a new lot came up, and when that new lot came out they had to brief a couple of days, etc. So we, in that period, we got time off, and the first time off we went to Disneyland. We drove up, which people thought we were daft to do, but it's not far. It's not like driving from London. It's about the same distance, London to the north of England, but the roads are much nicer, or were. So we had a look around Miami. We went up to Disneyland, etc., in that first week. Then back to work. We had another crew out. It was terrible. It really was a horrible working routine. I hope you can hear this. Actually, it's getting quite windy, even though I'm inside. So after a couple of weeks flying, it was time to change the crews again. And this time, as it happened, towards the end of the week, there was a shuttle going off, and more than that, there was a shuttle coming in. Was being transported back in by 747. So we had a couple of days in the Everglades and drove up, and we were going to go to the well-known Cocoa Beach, but we thought we'd try and see if we could get into the Space Centre just for a look round. We did. There's 2 cars went up. There was a little incident with the police. I'll tell you about that now. We were driving 2 cars, hire cars, and one car got pulled over. And of course, being together, we all pulled over, and 10 folks, 5 in each, jumped out. Well, you can imagine what the American police did. So we all jumped back in again. They realised quickly what was going on, and we were told, don't do that. If you get pulled over, just stay where you are. So it was just for a tail light out, and they just wanted to make sure that the other car was aware of it, and we travelled. So that was the start of the other car's bad luck. So we pulled into the Space Centre, and the passes to get in for the launch were green, and it's 4 o'clock-ish in the morning, and the guard at the centre obviously saw our Everglades map, thought it was a pass, and waved us through. The car behind us didn't have its Everglades map on the dash, so he got turned around. They went off to Cocoa Beach and saw the launch. We managed to blag our way onto a bus tour and ended up as close as you could get to the launch. What a fantastic sight. I'd love to have seen a Saturn V, but only managed to see the shuttle, but it was incredible. We went back to work, and we had another couple of hard weeks, 24 on, 24 off. Terrible, terrible. Okay, the aircraft left at the end of that 2 weeks. They had to go away and fly home, and we were going to be picked up in a couple of days by BC-10 to fly home again, and we had to pack up all the gear, put it into its Laycons, the carry cases, and it would be picked up just before we left. But the officer in charge of the engineering of the detachment, detachment commander, said, well, we'll come back and do this tomorrow, go and have a night out. We'll come in tomorrow afternoon and start work packing it. So we did. Off we went, came back in the next morning to find that our American friends had seen the instructions for packing up and packed up for us. It was all ready to launch, all loaded and ready in its pallets, ready to fly out when the Hercs turned up. So yeah, it was tough, but we had to have another couple of days off. We flew home, none the worse for wear, but an awful trip. I'll be back next week and maybe tell you some more. In the meantime, take your sandbag, blow out the light, and we'll see you on Friday for a dump.